Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 26th of May, 2024. Today's video is the vulgar prophet. May the blessing of Allah. This video is for grown-up people only, so please make sure there is no youngster in the room. Um, as I was reading, I came up on one of the Islamic Hadith. I'm going to put the description box for this Hadith. And the title of the hadith is a little, not a little, it is very vulgar, the language used. So I decided to read the hadith. The hadith starts with the word, the Prophet is asking a question. He was saying to a man, did you F her? And not in a discreet, because you could say, if you, let's say, a judge in the court, in court, he wants to ask a person, a man or a woman, have you had sexual relationship with this person, with this man or woman? And it's known that it means intercourse. He doesn't, the judge does not have to be very graphic. It's very clear. He can use decent language. He or she can use decent language and get the point across. That's a judge. But what about a prophet? The most, the holy prophet. Okay. So we're going to look because this is a little bit too much. A man, his name is Ma'iz bin Malik. This man committed adultery. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. That's his business. Has nothing to do with me. But reality is, as I read the story, that man seems to have guilty feeling. He has a bang of conscience. He committed adultery. So on his own, he went to the founder of Islam and told him, Prophet of Allah, I committed adultery. That's an honest man because nobody saw him. He could have kept quiet, like many. I mean, we can speak of many who committed adultery almost every day. We can speak of that. And the Prophet knew. Anyway, this man, he felt a feeling of guilt. So he wanted forgiveness. That's why he went to the Prophet of Allah and told him, I did that. And I have to admit that the Prophet of Allah tried hard to get him to deny. But the man was, you could say, a dignified man. He didn't want to lie. Whereas the Prophet of Allah kind of like indirectly encouraged him to fabricate something else, to lie. The man is confessing to his mistake, whereas the Prophet is encouraging him to lie. So the Prophet of Allah asked him, probably you kissed the woman, you didn't really have full relationship with her. He said, no, Prophet, I committed adultery. He said, probably you hugged her. No, Prophet of Allah, I committed adultery. Probably you touched her or something to that effect. Hugged, kissed, looked. No, Prophet of Allah, I committed adultery. He said, okay, you will be stoned to death. I mean, in our lives, like for myself, for example, one of my kids, when they were in elementary school, used to steal money from my pocket and go and buy candy to or ice cream to all of her friends, almost on daily basis without my knowledge. I mean, oh, is that stealing? In a way, yes. And her mother caught her. I didn't notice. Her mother caught her and explained that this is wrong, and that's it, finished. I didn't even have, it's done. But even if I am to do something, I will not tell her you're a thief or him. Mistake, okay? Especially if the person feels shameful. That's it. Don't pound on it. So in my opinion, if this prophet just told him, you know what? We all make mistakes. Go and ask your God for for forgiveness and don't bring it up to me anymore. No, but he ordered him to be stoned to death, and that is a difficult thing, sorry, to believe or deal with, because there is a contradiction here when you go back uh, to Aisha, the young bride of the prophet, the one who was 9 years old when he started to have a sexual relationship with her. She was accused, and the Shia, the sect, Muslim sect Shia, they say plain, she was a whore. Plain. She used to sleep with many men. And there is an incident we spoke about before, that she stayed in the behind in the desert with a young man. His name was Safwan bin Mu'attal. And young girl, because when her husband died, she was 18. So she was under 18, let's say 17. 17, and her husband at this time was 62. She's a young girl. She wants a young guy like her to enjoy. She was sold. And that's the hypocrisy here, that the prophet knew that she stayed in the desert all night with this man. They were not playing cards. They were not playing domino or any game. They were playing with each other. He knew that. And his nephew Ali told him, divorce her. She will bring you shame. Everybody knew what she was doing. But from a practical point of view, if he admits that, that will bring shame on him personally. That's one. Two, we don't know what the other women were doing, because some of them also were young. The Jewish young lady that he took captive from Bani Qurayza, the Jewish tribe that he killed her father, brother, and husband. She was about 20 years old. When he died, I am not sure exactly her age, but she was about 20, 24, 25, young lady. Okay? So, but when Aisha was accused publicly, and many people told him, we saw them when they came into town. They looked, they had sexual intercourse. And many people were willing to testify to that. However, he knew that three people willing to testify. He said, no, in this case, you need four. You need four. And if three testify, these three will be punished. So everybody close the mouth. Why should I put myself at risk? Only three, and he's asking for four. No, sorry. So everybody stayed quiet, and he stayed 1 month not touching her because he knew she did. She had sexual relationship with this man, so he wanted to make sure that she was not pregnant. And I also see another contradiction here, that the Prophet himself, the Prophet himself, the fact that he saw a woman, Muslim woman, passing by, and he gets excited, even though he did not commit the sexual act with this woman whom she was passing in front of him, but he quickly went to his wife, one of his wives, to have sexual relationship with her to relieve himself so that he will not be exposed. He was having sexual relationship with that woman, with his wife, but his mind, his thought, his head was about the woman whom she passed in front of him. I am very, very sure he was imagining this woman naked with him instead of his wife or one of his wives. We leave that and we come to the point that the Prophet of Allah was sent. It's hard to translate the word إكمال مكارم الأخلاق, meaning to bring morality to its level of perfection. Perfect morality. Holy morality, you could say. When that holy morality, the person who is speaking of bringing the standard of the holiest of holy in morality, is doing that. When that person who is bringing that highest morality, uh, taking a Jewish woman captive after he kills her family, her father, brother, and her husband, her bridegroom, because she was just got married. And in the same day, on the same day, on the same day, on his way back, when darkness fell, he asked his followers to build him a tent so he can fulfill his desire. She's nothing but a slave woman, a captive, so he can do that. So this is the contradiction that I see. So when we know that, for example, he had an example before him, he knew that Jesus, there were many Christians in Arabia, and he knew that Jesus, for example, let the adulterous woman to go. He suggested to forgive her and to let her go, and he told her not to do that again. He could have done that with this man, uh, Ma'az bin Malik, and told him, you know what, God is a forgiving God, but please don't do that again. Go on your way. No, that man whom he felt guilt and he was asking for forgiveness, instead of granted the forgiveness, and he could have granted that forgiveness from the authority. Actually, he had more authority in his time than the authority, the physical authority that Jesus had at his time. 600 years earlier, Jesus had no physical authority, none whatsoever. The people who brought that adulterous woman to him, They could have, when he said to them, whoever didn't commit a sin, cast the first stone, they could have told him, get lost, and they go and stone her anyway. And he wouldn't be able to stop them because he was not the leader. He was not a leader. He was a commoner. He was a man in Israel. He cannot do anything. He cannot make a decision. He was making a moral decision. And somehow it struck the chord in these people to stop. Whoever did not commit a sin, cast the first stone. So it hit them right in the heart. None of them could say, I did not. Okay, it's just, this is the one who was caught. Okay, and at the time of the Prophet of Allah, this is the man who had confessed. All of them were doing that, including Aisha, the wife, the young bride. And he knew that. And the hypocrisy that it is planted in the faith, planted in his tradition, planted in his heart. He couldn't let it go. I guess in English you call that self-righteousness, which is really deadly. And when you look at the traditional Muslim today, pretty much they tell you, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't, no, committing adultery, he cannot say. But if you go to European countries, especially in the 70s and the 80s, when the oil had a lot of demand and they were receiving money because it was primitive countries, and this tremendous amount of wealth, money coming to them from all over the world, from east and west. Everybody's buying oil. They didn't know what to do with this money. So they used to go to, in particular, they used to go to Britain because it's very close to them. And you're talking of morality, they will do anything and everything from all the Gulf region, not a particular country. Everything. I've seen it in the late 80s. I've seen it there. During the 80s, if you happen to have gone to London, I don't know about other countries in Europe. I knew they were also, they used to go to Italy and other countries, but I have seen them with my eyes in London in late 80s. Okay. And then they go back, and many of these people, they had families, and they go to London to the Arab nightclubs. They had their own clubs, Arab nightclubs. Some would spend millions of dollars on a dancer, belly dancer, so that at the end of the night she goes out with them to their hotel room. Okay, so this hypocrisy, and then when they go back home in front of the wife, they put this white cloth on and they cover their head, and probably some of them are imam, some of them preach in the mosque. Nonetheless, they are living a contradictory life. And this hadith here, I'm going to put it in the description box to show. And I am doing that to expose this nonsense. I'm sorry. You don't want to see it? The internet is here now to make you see it. I may look very harsh and sound very harsh. I am. But one way or another, you will have to hear it. Thank you very much. We hope to hear from you.